I think this is a very good result for politics and for the country. I do. Just in this sense, I think it's a convincing result, a decisive result, and what it means is that as a government we can move on and focus on the stuff that I think really matters to people.
Sebastian Payne is the Financial Times Whitehall editor in London. To steal a line from Monty Python, just a flesh wound seems to be the vibe from Boris Johnson, but is it?
Well, the fact is 41% of Conservative MPs have voted against the Prime Minister in this confidence vote. And that's not normally a good sign if you look based on past precedent, that there's been 9 elected leaders of the Conservative Party. 4 of them have been subsequently challenged, and all of them have been out of office within the year. And I think the private calculations of Johnson's team yesterday, they were talking about keeping numbers below 100, then below 120. And the fact was almost 150 Tory MPs that went against him is pretty bad, and I think it's going to cause big problems in him governing now. And this morning the Prime Minister is trying to say we're just going to keep on going as we are, we're not going to fundamentally change, but that's going to be very difficult when such a big chunk of your parliamentary party is not on board.
The rules are that he can't face another no confidence motion. So what are the other ways that his grip on the Prime Ministership could now be loosened?
So the rule book does say that once you've won a confidence vote as Tory party leader, you can't be challenged again for another 12 months. But of course, the rule book can be changed, and senior people within the party say, look, if there's a big demand for another confidence vote, we'll make it happen one way or another. If we look back to Boris Johnson's predecessor as Prime Minister, Theresa May, she won a confidence vote in December 2018 by a bigger margin, in fact, and she was out within 6 months. And that was a mixture of the cabinet losing faith in her, the grassroots Tory party lost faith in her, and again there was talk of a further confidence vote. So what happens now is not entirely clear, and I think those rebels are looking at ways they can try and make life pretty difficult for the Prime Minister, forcing legislation to vote, difficult votes on the Prime Minister's conduct in the House of Commons. So I think we're going to be setting in for a good period of guerrilla warfare, and the question of course is how does the PM's team respond to that? And I think that's what they're trying to figure out right now.
How is the Labor opposition leader Keir Starmer performing, and how is he viewed by the public currently?
So since the whole Partygate scandal began, this was about a whole series of rule-breaking events that were held within Downing Street, and Boris Johnson became the first sitting Prime Minister to be fined by the police and having found broken COVID laws over one of the events he attended, but not several other events. Ever since that scandal really started to get going at the beginning of this year, his approval ratings have tanked, and those of Sir Keir Starmer's have increased quite significantly. Now, there's a general sense within the opposition Labour Party that he is liked but not loved by lots of people, and that he's had some by-election wins. He had a decent set of results in some local elections in May, but it's sort of the country's not fallen in love with Keir Starmer yet. They're simply going to him because they don't like Boris Johnson. But he's got his own issues as well. We've had this other scandal, it's non-stop in Westminster at the moment, called Beergate, and this is over a campaign event that was held in April 2021 when Sir Keir Starmer was spotted swigging a bottle of beer at a Labour Party campaign event. And many opponents have said, well, this is the same as Boris Johnson. He's broken COVID laws and he is also under police investigation, which is due to wrap up pretty soon. Now, if he was fined, he said he would quit. If he's not fined, then he's one bound and free. So for Labour at the moment, they're also in a bit of a pickle, but they're in probably the strongest position they've been in a good 5 years, I would say. And if you look at the polls now, there's a general election tomorrow, then Keir Starmer would certainly be Prime Minister.
And when is your next general election?
So the latest date it could possibly be is December 2024, which feels like an awful long way away right now. And Boris Johnson's team are plotting to have one in the spring of 24. But of course, whenever you're in political difficult water, you always threaten a general election to get people within shape. So there was lots of mutterings in Westminster around last night that Boris Johnson could call a snap election to reinforce discipline, or potentially next year. My sense would be is they're going to wait as long as possible. They want to get as far away from the pandemic as possible. They want to get inflation down as quickly as possible and try and restore some discipline. But of course, the longer that kicks on, the more time you've got for another leadership challenge.
Sebastian Payne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leigh Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.